Welcome once more to my Wednesday Norma Talks. Today is the 22nd of December, 2021, 2 days before Christmas Eve and 3 days before Christmas Day. I know many celebrate on Christmas Eve and then others on Christmas Day. And my gratitude for you watching one or many of my Norma Talks and or my A Sunday Thought is really important to me. For those of you who have subscribed, written comments, and touched like, thank you. Your actions are appreciated. Many don't realize I am a metaphysical minister. And for many years, I was a member plus a board member of the Celebration Center in Vancouver, where I studied for 8 years, finally becoming a registered minister. Today, I am registered minister with the Canadian International Metaphysical Ministry. And when I moved here where I live now, I became a member of and then a board member of the local Metaphysical Society. And for several years, I would give the Christmas message. Over the years, I created several Christmas stories. Some were interspersed with song. Others had a PowerPoint to support the story I was telling. Last year on Norma Talks at Christmas time, I read one of the latest stories I had written. And this year, I have written a short new story. It came to me as I was contemplating what I was going to say on this, my pre-Christmas talk. I hope you enjoy. And this was the story that came. Hannah was tired. She wiped her brow with the back of her hand, and the little bubbles of perspiration stood out when she looked at it. It was such a busy time for the inn, and the kitchen was extra busy. Plus, Levi was a taskmaster. The inn was filled to the brim with people returning to Bethlehem for the census, and Hannah just needed a moment to collect herself away from Levi's thunderous voice, demanding this and continually saying, "Hannah, right now." So she felt like a squirrel in a cage. Suddenly, there was a lull in the volume of Levi's voice, issuing his orders, and Hannah decided right then, I'm going to step outside into the cool for a moment. And out the door she went, taking a big breath of the cool outside air. As she leaned against the closed door, she looked out onto the backyard of the inn and towards the barn, where the horse had been stabled for the night. Hannah knew some other animals were also housed there because of the cold night. She was appreciative of that because she was so hot and rejoiced in the cool air cooling her down. As she was collecting herself and getting ready to head back inside, a large light appeared in the sky. It was so bright, it took her breath away. As the light was so bright, she noticed that 3 men on camels had walked into the yard. She drew back into the doorway as these strangers were dressed very differently than she had ever seen. They also spoke in a funny language, and as she watched, they had their camels kneel down so they could dismount. Hannah was curious and her mind was busy with questions. Who are they? What is that big light in the sky? Why are these men here? The 3 men seemed to know where they were going and walked very much in command of themselves and their surroundings to the barn. Hannah wondered why the barn, what's going on? And then the other thoughts came in. Should I warn Levi? But even as she had that thought, her curiosity took over. She crept slowly across the yard and found a hole in the wall of the barn to look through. And there, inside, beside a low burning lamp, was a man and a woman holding a very small baby wrapped up in swaddling clothes. Kneeling in front of them were the 3 men she had seen get off the camels. This was strange, she thought. Hannah could not take her eyes off the scene. Then she saw coming towards the barn a few shepherds who usually were quite a ways away, and they also entered the barn. The barn by this time was getting quite filled. A man, his wife, a child, the horse, and some sheep, and a cow, plus now 3 men and some shepherds. She leaned closer to hear what was being said. The 3 men were explaining they had been following a light which they believed was to herald a great king, while the man and woman explained their names were Mary and Joseph. And when they arrived, there had been no room in the inn. And because Mary was really close to her time, they were told they could take shelter in the barn where at least they would be out of the cold wind. As Hannah took all this in, the light above seemingly to get ever brighter, and then to her surprise, an angel appeared. Then she heard the words ringing in her head, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. Today, in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is Christ the Lord." Upon hearing these words, she felt scared and thought, "I must get back. Levi will be very angry." Then, as she thought that, the sky filled with many angels praising God, saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace to men on whom his favor rests." Then, right at that moment, one of the 3 men caught her eye looking through the crack in the wall and moved his arm as welcoming her in. She could not resist and looking closer to see this baby these men were paying homage to. So she slowly moved around the wall and in through the door and stood quietly just inside, looking at the picture, which was made by the man, woman, baby, 3 wise men, and the shepherd, surrounded by many different animals. The man who had suggested she came in said to her in her language, "Come closer, little one, for tonight a king is born, who is the light unto the world." Hannah slowly crept forward and then looked upon the baby's face, so new, so innocent, so small, and could not help herself but smile as the feeling of great peace came upon her. Right at that moment, Levi's voice thundered, "Hannah, where are you, child? Come back. We need you in here now." And then mumbling to himself as he turned back into the kitchen, "You never know where she is going or what she is getting into." Hannah took one more look at the baby, and as she went through the door, looked back at the tableau set out before her and closed the door. As she went back into the hot kitchen where Levi was once more demanding she do this and that, she felt a warmth and a light within her heart. Hannah knew that her heart had opened as she felt the light, the love come inside her. And she kept that within while outside the angels continued singing, and everyone in the barn was happy, cherishing the light and love. Hannah went on with her life, always remembering and knowing she saw the light unto the world, and the love and the peace was with her always. That is my short story of the moment when, as we have known, for those of us in the who has had any kind of Christian upbringing, was the birth of Christ. Now, I have done talks where it is pointed out that, for instance, the Romans would never have held census in that time of the year. And I have been in Jerusalem early December, and it was really quite cold, which surprised me for some reason. And it's not the most comfortable time period. Also, the one thing to recognize that it was Constant, now the names just slipped right out of my head, but it was made deliberately based on the Roman God, all the same things that were on there and about there, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that there is an energy in our earth, around our earth, that is there for us. And that energy brings inside this wonderful sense of peace and understanding and an awareness of who we are and what we are and where we're going. And when we have that, when we connect with that loving force, whatever we call that, what I found was, as I tuned into it over the years, it was like an essence. You could feel it, a divine essence, I call it. And when you have that and it comes inside you and it fills your heart up, you can touch into it at any time and you can come forward. And that's really what the birth of Christ in the storyline is really about. The storyline at Christmas time is really neat to remember. I know the lights that happen around the houses and the Christmas tree is all indicative of the light that is there. But that light is inside of us. So that light can generate, it can sparkle, it can bring about the wonderment of who we are. And sometimes these little stories that come to me, and this one was about the little kitchen girl going out and seeing this and feeling and hearing the angels sing. And knowing that this light exists and has existed and always has existed. It's not just it began just over 2,000 years ago. It was already here. It was already around. Many, many people studied and felt that energy. But this was perhaps one of the first times a storyline that took and led and went out into the world, that it exists. And that it is real, and that any person who touches into that universal love can feel that and know that. And what I wanted to do today was I'm putting a song up on here in just a second. And if you feel like you want to sing along with that, please do. It's one of my fiddle favorites. And this rendition is some children singing. And I hope they allow me to play this. And here we go. I just want to now, get this started here. So I make this bigger. Light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. My love fights the darkness from above, shines on me and it shines on you, shows you what the power do. Shine my light both bright and clear, shine my light both far and near, in every corner that I find, shine my little light shine. Light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, my little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Take the gift of love. Tuesday, peace came from above. Wednesday told me to have more faith. Thursday gave me a little more grace. Friday told me to watch and pray. Saturday told me to let you say. Sunday gave the power divine to let my little light shine. It's the light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. So I hope that you will let your little light shine and be bright. I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas. I will read that. Whoops. Oh. Ooh, it's going on the next time. I'm going to say bye-bye. Have a Merry Christmas.